I call to order the September 9th meeting of Waynesboro City Council, and I'd like to welcome everyone this evening. Mr. Allen, would you please join us, or lead us in the pledge? And everyone else could join.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It is. For those in attendance this evening, if you wish to speak at the citizen comment period, please sign up on the appropriate sheet in the back of chambers. Item 2 is the adoption of the meeting agenda. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Wood. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Allen. Any discussion? All in favor of adopting the agenda, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And the agenda passes 5-0. Item 3 is matters from mayor, and I would like to take a moment to recognize our Waynesboro Economic Development Team, who recently received 2 Excellence in Economic Development Awards from the International Economic Development Council. A gold award was earned specifically for the Grow Maine and Wayne program in the Small Business Development category. The Innovative Mug Mailing Business Attraction Initiative earned a bronze award in the Print Promotion category. The IEDC President and CEO noted that Waynesboro is setting the standard of excellence for economic development with the 2 programs. And I'd like to thank Greg, Stephanie, Megan, and Emily for all of their hard work in getting us those awards. Item 4 is matters from City Council.
The only thing, I just one real quick thing. I have been attending the downtown merchants meetings recently, and if people haven't been paying attention, they really should, because our merchants have really formed a good group. They've come together, they're working together to help promote their business as well as downtown. And I'm really pleased to see what they're doing and look forward to seeing the results of their hard work. So I just want to say thanks to the merchants who have been taking the initiative to do this on their own.
Thank you, Mr. Wood. Anybody else?
Just want to acknowledge I had the privilege of joining the Waynesboro Union Male Chorus last evening as they celebrated and concluded their 87-year run here in the city of Waynesboro. And it was just a really awesome program of celebration and music, and just a great event of unity. So just thanks to all of them, all past members, for their legacy.
And thank you for presenting that on behalf of council, Mr. Short. We appreciate that. Okay, anybody else? Okay. Item 5 is consideration of the consent agenda. Is there a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Short. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Wood. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the consent agenda passes 5-0. That brings us to item 6, which is to present a proclamation to Ms. Carol Flora, Regent for Colonel James Patton Chapter of the National Society Daughters of American Revolution, recognizing September 16th through September 22nd, 2024 as Constitution Week. And I've asked Mr. Wood to please read that proclamation.
I'll just say beforehand, I didn't get a chance to read over it first, so I hope I don't screw it up. All right. Whereas the Constitution of the United States of America, the guardian of our liberties, embodies the principles of limited government in a republic dedicated to rule by law, and whereas September 17th, 2024 marks the 237th anniversary of the framing of the Constitution of the United States of America by the Constitutional Convention, and whereas it is fitting and proper to accord official recognition to this magnificent document and its memorable anniversary, and to the patriotic celebrations which will commemorate it, and whereas Public Law 915 guarantees the issuing of a proclamation each year by the President of the United States of America designating September 17th through 23rd as Constitution Week. Now, therefore, I, Lana Williams, by virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor of the city of Waynesboro, Virginia, do hereby proclaim the week of September 16 through September 22, 2024 as Constitution Week, and ask our citizens to reaffirm the ideals that frames the framers of the Constitution had in 1787 by vigilantly protecting the freedoms guaranteed to us through this guardian of our liberties. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the city of Waynesboro, Virginia, to be affixed the 9th day of September. Lana Williams, Mayor, City of Waynesboro.
Thank you. And I would like to invite Ms. Flora forward, and I'm going to present this to you. You can get a picture, and then I'll ask you to say a few words. Come on. Everybody join.
Come on down. We're down there or up here? Where you want to start, Mayor? We'll stay right here. How about that?
Thank you very much.
Absolutely, thank you very much.
I'd like to invite you forward to speak, say a few words if you would like. So- You're doing better than I would.
Mayor and Vice Mayor and Councilman, on behalf of the Colonel James Patton, DAR, in Waynesboro here, we thank you very much for having this proclamation. As you know, the DAR actually initiated the observance of this in 1955. And when we petitioned the U.S. Congress to dedicate September 17th through the 23rd of each year to the commemoration of Constitution Week. Congress adopted the resolution, and on August 2nd, 1956, President Dwight D. Eisenhower signed it into the Public Law 915. The celebration goals are threefold: to encourage the study of historical events that led to the framing of the Constitution in September of 1787, to remind the public that the Constitution is the basics of America's great heritage and the foundation for its way of life, and to emphasize U.S. citizens' responsibility to protect, defend, and preserve the U.S. Constitution. So again, we thank you.
Thank you so much. And I'd also like to mention that you do not feel free to stay for the entirety of the meeting unless you don't have anything better to do. I'll give you a few minutes to. Interesting. Yeah.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
I think we're working out a technical issue, so
So
if
do you
we
want me to
could
go ahead
skip to number
Okay.
8 and let Mr. McCormick help us with that when
All
you're
right.
ready.
Thank you. Have a good evening. Let me get that door closed. And so while we work out a few technical issues, we are going to skip forward to item 8 on the agenda, and that's to consider adopting a resolution authorizing the city to apply for financial assistance from the Drinking Water State Revolving Loan Fund to support the Shenandoah Village Drive Booster Station project. And I'd like to call on Assistant City Manager Cameron McCormick.
Good evening. Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of council. So during the 2025 budget process, the city set aside $300,000 in the water fund to begin engineering and then as a debt reserve for the Shenandoah Village Drive booster stations in the Red Top section. As part of that, the staff was aware and informed City Council that we would likely need to finance that as the project was going to be somewhere between probably $3, $4, $5 million, maybe as much as $8 million. And so the resolution in front of you is a request to apply for the Drinking Water State Revolving Loan Fund. This is similar to the program that we have applied for in the sewer fund, which was the Virginia Clean Water Revolving Loan Fund. This application doesn't commit you to borrow money, but what it does do is give you the opportunity to perhaps receive some principal forgiveness, which we did receive in the other program, and then receive what is generally a very favorable interest rate. So the request in front of you is simply to apply for the program. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them now.
Okay. Are there any questions for Mr. McCormick? No? Come on, guys, you gotta keep going. Gotta give us some time there. Okay, is there a motion to adopt the resolution authorizing and supporting the city's application to the Drinking Water Revolving Loan Fund?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Wood. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that passes 5-0. I will continue on to item 9.
Yeah, that'll be fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
Item 9 is to consider introducing an ordinance amending the City Code, Chapter 42, Article 3, Auxiliary Police Force. And I would like to call on our Assistant City Manager of Public Safety, Mr. Wilhelm.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of council. City staff desires to update Chapter 42 Law Enforcement, Article 3 Auxiliary Police Force, Section 42 to 58 and 42 to 60. The amendments before you tonight will shift the responsibility of appointing and calling into service qualified members of the City of Waynesboro Auxiliary Police Force from the city manager to the chief of police. Moving these responsibilities for the auxiliary police directly into the police chief's authority will improve program efficiency, align with current processes and policies within the department, and also enhance accountability. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer. It's pretty
Are
straightforward.
there any questions from members of council for Mr. Wilhelm? Oh, boy. Okay. Right. All right. Is there a motion to introduce the ordinance?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Mr. Wood. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Allen. Any discussion? Okay, this ordinance will receive final consideration at the September 23rd regular business meeting. We'll move on to item 10, and that's to consider adopting a resolution and setting the Personal Property Tax Rate Act rate of relief for the tax year 2024. Mr. Hamp.
Yes, ma'am. This is an annual exercise under the General Assembly's legislative work in 2004 and 2005, in which they eliminated the car tax through the Personal Property Tax Relief Program. That legislation requires the City Council to annually adopt a rate of relief for the current tax year of 2024. And each year, once the Commissioner of Revenue has completed the assessment of qualifying vehicles, the Commissioner determines how far the $1.7 million in state relief that the city receives will go. That calculation this year is 31.5%, which happened to be the same for last year. So council is asked to adopt the resolution establishing the rate of relief for tax year 2024 at 31.5%. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Are there any questions? Okay. And do I have a motion to adopt the resolution establishing the PPTRA rate of relief for the tax year 2024 at 31.5%?
I make the motion.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Lee. Is there a second?
I will second that.
Thank you, Mr. Short. And is there any discussion? Thank you for doing that slowly. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. And any opposed, and that passes, the relief passes 5-0. I'm going to move on. Item 11 is to consider appointing an individual to the Central Shenandoah Planning District Commission. Is there a motion to appoint Leslie Tate?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Mr. Short. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Allen. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And Leslie Tate will be appointed to the Central Shenandoah Planning District Commission. Item 12 is to consider appointing an individual to the Economic Development Authority for a 4-year term ending August 31st, 2028. Is there a motion to reappoint Crystal Farmer to the EDA for a 4-year term ending August 31st, 2028?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Mr. Wood. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And that passes 5-0. Are we ready?
Just in the nick of time.
Wow. Okay, we're going to move on back to item 7, I believe that was. Let's check this out real quick. Okay, item 7 is to receive a presentation from Zach Beard, Program Manager at the Central Shenandoah Planning District Commission regarding updating the region's long-range transportation plan. Mr. Beard, please.
Thank you. And I'm actually Gareth Bartholomew. I'm a
Okay.
transportation planner with the PDC. Zach is here, but I'm getting my feet wet on presenting to City Council. So thank you all. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Vice Mayor. Thank you, members of the council. I'm Gareth Bartholomew, transportation planner with the CSPDC, the Central Shenandoah Planning District Commission. We staff our local regional planning body, the Stanton, Augusta, Waynesboro Metropolitan Planning Organization. So thank you all for your time. This will take about 10 minutes now with slides, and thank you, staff, for getting that all set up. And we are providing an update on our 2050 SAW MPO long-range transportation plan and our public engagement efforts, notably our public survey, which was released last month. So who are we? If you're not familiar with the SAW MPO, we are the regional planning body for the city of Stanton, the city of Waynesboro, and the urbanized portions of Augusta County, including Fishersville, Stewart's Draft, Verona, and areas along US 11, in between Verona and Blue Ridge Community College and the Shenandoah Valley Regional Airport. So we are composed of a policy board that is comprised of elected officials and senior staff from each locality, along with a technical advisory committee of local staff from each locality that meets monthly. Some of our wonderful policy board alumni are here, Mr. Jim Wood, Mr. Todd Wood, and Councilmember Short is very well aware of the actions of the SAW MPO, so pleased to present to you, even though y'all know a little bit about it already. So what do? We conduct two forms of planning. One, a 25-year long-range plan, which is what we are currently underway. We update this every 5 years. As of May of this year, we began our long-range plan update for the year 2020, from 2024 through 2050. The plan outlines our region's current and future transportation needs, and then comes up with a list of possible transportation projects that could be constructed based on the available funding. We have a constrained revenue, and so we project over a 25-year period what projects we are feasibly able to accomplish. This covers all modes of transportation, personal vehicle, walking, biking, taking a bus. The plan is much like a comprehensive plan, which I'm sure you all are well aware of going through this right now for a locality, but instead we focus on all different aspects of our region and focusing only on regional transportation. We also do short-range planning that takes the form of site-specific in-depth studies, and so we work with consultants, engineers, and VDOT to assess existing conditions, assess safety and congestion needs, and propose project recommendations with cost estimates. An example of this is our recent Afton Mountain study. This is a great example of both our long-range and short-range planning. We recently completed this Afton Mountain study of the intersection of US 250 and Route 610 near Rockfish Gap off exit 99, and tried to identify what are some potential operational and safety issues as part of developing a long-range vision for that intersection there. The study conducted some detailed analysis of recommended phase improvements, including proposing a roundabout in that section where the gourmet popcorn stand is, and atop the mountain, and providing pedestrian and bicycle connections from the city of Waynesboro all the way up the mountain. So what's important about these small area studies is that now these specific project recommendations can now be incorporated into future grant applications for transportation improvements to the exit area or incorporated into a long-range development plan for the area. So as I mentioned, why I'm here today is we are currently updating our long-range transportation plan. An important component of this plan is including public participation and public input on future transportation needs. However, in the past, our long-range planning has been very data-driven and primarily focused on utilizing VDOT safety and congestion data to identify needs and projects. We are still doing that, but we are wanting to emphasize with this plan the importance of collecting information from the public. There are some things that VDOT data cannot relay to us as planners about what people are facing with the day-to-day transportation needs, and so we are collecting public information and public input to help inform the plan's priorities and projects. During our last plan update, we had one online survey that received 200 responses, and so the rest of our public engagement was derailed by a little thing called COVID. So we are really emphasizing as part of this current plan update, making an effort to engage the public in a meaningful way and reach out to members and groups in our community who we don't typically hear from as a part of these processes. So we also don't want to reinvent the wheel. As you know, the city is in the process of updating its comprehensive plan, and so we have been coordinating with county staff, city staff, from all of our localities, including Waynesboro, to make sure we're not duplicating efforts, especially as you all are embarking on public input and engagement as well. So we want to make sure we are reflecting the most up-to-date information related to transportation gathered from each of these updates. So our survey is a five-part, about 5 or 10 minute survey. And as part of our first phase, we began with this survey trying to envision what is the future of transportation, not only looking at existing conditions, how do people interface with transportation across the region, but what are some of the main problems. My favorite part of it is this drag and drop feature of you're able to drag and drop safety, congestion, walking and crossing challenges, et cetera, actual pins into specific areas so that we are able to then see, you know, someone is having a challenge with crossing the street in this way, and give us some qualitative information that just having a survey or just asking someone, what are your needs for transportation, wouldn't be able to convey. And then we wrap up with understanding individuals' priorities of what they want to see as our criteria for evaluating projects moving forward. Survey is very mobile friendly. It's central to our survey is to make sure that folks are able to access this in any way that they are able to. And so we're very, very excited about the survey and hoping to have as many members of the Stanton, Augusta, and Waynesboro community filling this out. So to get word out about this survey, we have had a number of activities and are continuing that through the month of September before the survey closes on September 30th. The survey went live, as I said, last month on August 12th. We held a series of stakeholder sessions to really include underserved and disadvantaged populations such as elderly folks, low-income individuals who have significant needs for transportation but don't always have the ability to be included in some of these surveys. So we held 2 stakeholder sessions to better understand how we can reach our underserved communities. We invited faith-based leaders, nonprofits, education, healthcare, and community-focused organizations that interface directly with these underserved populations, and we're able to understand some of the public engagement barriers that those communities face and seeing what we can do to overcome them and bridge them to include not only in this phase of the survey, but moving forward, both as a planning district commission, but then helping inform our localities in the region how to best bridge those barriers. So first time we've taken that approach, and so we're really excited about this. We also held a webinar on August 28th that is recorded to walk people through the survey, help them understand a little bit more about the LRTP, and are currently underway of doing a series of pop-up events, including this Saturday at the Waynesboro Farmers Market, so please come out. And we are excited to be able to really see folks and meet with them and explain this very acronym-focused process in a way that's very tangible and that people are able to participate in. And then we have a series of printed materials, including some that are right back there, so please take some on your way out and share with friends, family, folks, constituents, and that would be very much appreciated. So we also finally have an email list to subscribe to, and we sent this out to all of our community partners, including all members of council, last month, but we will definitely rebump that after this evening. So we do need your help to reach your constituents. We are hoping to engage as many members of our community. As I said, we sent this out to 300 community leaders and distributed this long-range transportation toolkit to over 300 community leaders in our region. And so I want to make sure that all of the folks that you have in your networks and as city council members are able to be aware of this process, because this does affect them, and it means a whole lot coming from someone that they trust rather than some random email. So I would very much appreciate it if you can, in any way that you can, post and repost this LRTP process, both the survey, but then the next phases as we're moving forward. And with that, thank you. That's all I have. I'm happy to answer any questions about this process. And thank you again for helping to improve transportation for our region.
Are there any questions? No questions? Go ahead.
No, just excellent job. Yeah.
Thank you.
Great. Yeah.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
so
thank you.
much for that information.
Of course.
Zach taught you well.
You did a great job.
And please take the survey. It's QR code there, and it's on the blank sheet, or the sheets right there in the back. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Already have.
I'd also like to thank staff for getting this ready just in time, because I was going to have to ask Mr. Short and Mr. Hamp to sing a duet. We didn't get through that.
I would kind of still like to see that.
Okay. All right. Item 13 is our citizens' comment period. Mr. Hamp?
Yes, ma'am. We have one individual, excuse me, Mr. Peter Van Acker.
Okay. If you can just state your name and address for our records, and you have 4 minutes in which to address council.
Peter Van Acker, 704 Walnut Avenue, Waynesboro. Madam Mayor and members of City Council, I'm a volunteer with the Office on Youth and participate in the Waynesboro Walk and Wheel, the Safe Routes to School, and the Healthy Communities Action Team to reduce childhood obesity and increase physical activity. I'm sorry to report that the proposed Broad Street corridor improvements conflict with the goals of those programs. I went to that dog and pony show that was here. It was fine, it was informative. But the road design, in the words of one city engineer, provides a bypass around downtown Waynesboro. The plan does little for residents who walk and bike regularly, especially residents of East Waynesboro, including Basic City. As we can see from the still proposed greenway extension through the tree streets, infrastructure takes time, but the Broad Street project actually reverses limited cycling improvements undertaken by the city. The Broad Street project overemphasizes vehicle transportation by including up to 5 vehicle lanes. It includes 0, nil, nada lanes for bicycles. It includes insufficient protection for pedestrians crossing pedestrian crossings, including children traveling by foot or by bike to the Boys and Girls Club, to the YMCA, to the Greenway, or to any of our schools. It isolates downtown Waynesboro's increasing amenities from those who do not drive. If the city wants the road to act as a bypass around downtown, Hopeman Parkway seems like an appropriate choice. I encourage the city to use this opportunity to make Broad Street a partner to Main Street by reducing vehicle traffic and by providing infrastructure that is more welcoming to pedestrians and cyclists. That infrastructure will provide an opportunity to expand downtown, but through housing, shopping, cafes, restaurants, and entertainment venues on Broad Street. Look at the mess on Lou DeWitt and Delphine. Try to cross the street at Lou DeWitt and Main Street to get from one of the shopping areas to the bus stop on the north side of East Main Street. I saw a man trying to do that. It was scary watching him try to cross that street with no pedestrian access and cars coming from every direction at any moment. We do not want more of that in our downtown. As an aside, I'd like to thank Mr. Hamp and members of the Public Works for attending the showing of the Street Project. It was a film that we sponsored showing the possibilities to change the way downtowns operate, getting away from a car-centric design to a people-centric design. That's all I have. Thank you very much, and I hope you take the opportunity to make Broad Street a partner to downtown. Thank you.
Thank you. And that's all? Okay. Item 14 is communication, correspondence, and calendar. Mr. Hamp.
Yes, ma'am. I have one item this evening. I'd like to draw the public's attention to a really terrific service that our Public Works Department, in combination with our friends in Augusta County, deliver to the public, and that's the household hazardous waste cleanup. This is an opportunity for residents, and I want to emphasize that residents, not businesses, to bring household waste such as paints and thinners and oil-based solvents. There's herbicides, things that are difficult to dispose of because they really don't belong in a landfill. But there's information about that on the website. This happens once a year, so I think it's important to alert citizens to this opportunity. And it will be Saturday, September 21st from 8:30 a.m. to noon, and that will be at our city operations lot at 900 Essex Avenue. I would like to add one thing. I appreciate Mr. Van Acker's acknowledgement for those staff members that attended the street project. And I would note that we, in addition to Public Works folks, we had representatives from Community Development, and Mr. Wood from the city manager's office also attended. So we were fairly broadly represented at that program, but I appreciate Mr. Van Acker's acknowledgement there. That's all I have.
Okay. That brings us to item 15, and that's a closed session to discuss an award of public contract. Is there a motion to enter closed session?
Madam Mayor, I move to recess into closed session to discuss the award of a public contract involving the expenditure of public funds and discussion of the terms or scope of such contract, where discussions in open session would adversely affect the city's bargaining position or negotiating strategy, and to consult with the city attorney and staff regarding specific legal matters requiring the provision of legal advice relating to customers located outside of the city connecting to city utilities as allowed by sections 2.2-371129 and 8 of the Virginia Code.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Short. Any discussion? Okay. This requires a roll call vote, and I will call on Ms. Bortle. Aye.
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 We are in closed session. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. That's coming up next. Yep. Okay. Do I have a motion to re-enter session?
Madam Mayor, I move to adopt the following resolution. Whereas the City Council of Waynesboro has convened in a closed meeting on this date pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote and in accordance with the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act. And whereas Section 2.2-3712 of the Code of Virginia requires a certification by this City Council that such closed meeting was conducted in conformity with Virginia law. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the City Council of Waynesboro hereby certifies that, to the best of each member's knowledge, one, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements by Virginia law were discussed in the closed meeting to which this certification resolution applies, and two, only such business matters were identified in the motion convening the closed meeting were heard, discussed, or considered by the City Council of Waynesboro.
Okay, thank you for that motion. Is there a second?
Second?
Thank you, Mr. Short. And this requires a roll call vote. Mayor Williams. Aye.
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 We are back in session. That brings us to the final of the day. Okay, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'd like to make it motion.
I knew you would. And do we have a second?
Most definitely, I would like to say.
Thank you, Mr. Short. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned.
Should have slowed it down.
I'll make that motion. Hold on a second. Terry.